Good day, and thank you for your interest in South Africa and Namibia's mining sectors. My name is Christophe Bezou. I'm a trade commissioner working at the Johannesburg office, and I am delighted to share this presentation with you on the margin of PDAC virtual convention. So let's get started. To set the scene, and as shown on this map, both Namibia and South Africa are located on the southern tip of Africa. South Africa is Canada's largest trading partner on the continent, with mining representing more or less 50% of bilateral trade. According to World Bank data, both states are classified as higher middle income countries, with a GDP per capita of almost 5,000 US dollar for Namibia and of 6,000 US dollar for South Africa. In terms of investment attractiveness, the 2019 annual survey published by the Fraser Institute ranked South Africa and Namibia respectively at the 40th and 55th position out of 76 mining jurisdictions. This slide shows the Canadian presence as well as the total value of Canadian mining assets invested locally. As we can see, both Namibia and South Africa are hosting approximately 1 billion Canadian dollars. This is much less than countries like Zambia, Mali, or the DRC, which are each hosting between 6 and 10 billion Canadian dollars. That being said, both Namibia and South Africa are still in the top 10 when it comes to Canadian mining investment in Africa. In this part, we'll focus more in depth on South Africa's mining sector. South Africa has a long mining history, as it started at the end of the 19th century with its discovery of diamonds in the Orange River, and then with the gold rush, which led to the establishment of the city of Johannesburg. Today, the mining sector is still vital to the South African economy. In 2019, the mining sector directly contributed to 8.3% of the GDP. It employed 500,000 persons directly and 1.5 million indirectly. The sector exported 23 billion US dollar of minerals product, which is close to a third of South Africa's total exports. And finally, it paid more than 2 billion US dollars in taxes and royalties. South Africa is richly endowed with mineral resources, as it produces more than 30 metal and mineral products. The country has above 80% of the world-known platinum, 70% of the chromite, and 80% of the manganese resources. It hosts the Witwatersrand Basin, which is one of the largest gold deposits, and it also produces a large amount of diamonds. Finally, coal is a key strategic mineral for South Africa, as 80% of its electricity is generated from coal-fired power plants. Now this table shows the total mineral sales for the year 2019. The figures are in US dollar, and I have highlighted a few of them just to underline the relative importance of some mining subsectors. As we can see, the value of gold, PGMs, and coal sales represent 65% of the total amount. This figure will undoubtedly be higher next year, as the average gold price was 25% up in 2020. There was also a general increase in PGM prices, and as an example, 1 ounce of rhodium is sold above 21,000 US dollars today, when it was 10 times cheaper in 2019. In the next slides, we will analyze South Africa's key mining subsectors more in detail. And we will start with gold. The Wits Basin is one of the largest gold deposits in the world. After 120 years of operations, some gold mines are now reaching a depth of 4,000 meters, which make them amongst the deepest in the world. To date, the Wits Basin has produced more than 2 billion ounces of gold, which represent almost half of the gold ever extracted. For many years, South Africa was the world's largest producer of gold. In the 1970s, gold production was about 1,000 tons a year. This figure has now declined to 100 tons a year, and production was divided by 2 in the last 10 years. Of course, deeper mines are more difficult and expensive to operate, and this largely explained the decrease in gold production. New technologies will be required to access the 6,000-ton gold reserves still lying untapped in the Wits Basin. Now let's speak about platinum group metals. They consist of 6 all-silvery white metals, and their primary application is in jewelry and in catalytic converter used in the automotive industry. They are also required in many industrial applications, including in computer hard disks, mobile phones, as well as in medical applications. As we have mentioned it already, South Africa hosts the vast majority of known reserves of PGMs. And now, as the world moves toward a more sustainable future, PGM producers are convinced that their minerals will play a significant role as a greener and cleaner source of energy. This is already taking place as fuel cells are finding their ways across multiple transport modes, including trucks, buses, and trains. And the global mining company, Anglo American, will soon launch its first fuel cell electric vehicle, a 290-ton electrically powered mining haul truck. As explained by the company, putting electrified vehicles into mines will help them to reach their ambitious decarbonization targets. So, in a nutshell, the world's decarbonization efforts will be a key driver for PGM's future demand. And this looks like a very good news for South Africa. Now let's have a brief look at the diamond industry. In 2019, South Africa's diamond production amounted to 7 million carats, positioning it as the world's 6th largest diamond producer. While diamond mining has been taking place in South Africa for almost a century and a half, the country's diamond sector is far from reaching the end of its life. According to the Minerals Council of South Africa, recent development at 3 of the largest mines are designed to expand their outputs and to extend their lives to anywhere between 25 to 50 years. One of the mines is operated by De Beers, when the 2 others are operated by the Petra Diamonds Group. The chart on this slide shows the largest diamond ever found in the world. South Africa is certainly competing against other jurisdictions, and especially with Botswana, where Canadian firm Lucara Diamonds recently discovered amazingly large gems. That being said, no one ever recovered a diamond larger than the Cullinan, a 3,100 carat diamond found at the Premier Mine near Pretoria in 1905. Base minerals are another important mining subsector in South Africa. Chrome, iron ore, and manganese are mainly used in industrial and metallurgical applications. For the last 2 of these commodities, the entire production is exported mainly to Asia. The combined value of these 3 minerals amounts to $9 billion in 2019, which represents 25% of the total mineral sales of South Africa. Also, and we mentioned it before, the country has 70% of the chromite and 80% of the manganese known resources. Coal is a crucial component of South Africa's mining sector. Alone, it represents more than a quarter of the country's mineral sales by value. In 2019, 60% of the production was sold internally, and the rest was exported through Richards Bay Coal Terminal. Usually, the higher grades of coal are delivered to export markets, when the lower grades are burned by Eskom, the South African electricity public utility. In 2019, the coal industry employed almost 100,000 people, representing 20% of the mining sector's labor force. After having described the main mining subsectors in South Africa, let's have a quick look at the key regulations governing it. The new democracy established in 1994, after the end of the apartheid era, established an initiative to transform the mining industry from a restricted sector to a more broad-based and representative one. This set of laws and regulation is enclosed in the Black Economic Empowerment Framework, or BEE, which aims at redressing past imbalances and providing greater participation by previously disadvantaged groups in the economy. The Mining Charter sets the framework and the targets as it gives effect to the economic transformation aspiration of the government. The last Mining Charter, or Mining Charter 3, came into forces on the 1st of March 2019 and consists of undertakings by all stakeholders in the area of human resources development, employment equity, mine community development, preferential procurement, and ownership. In a nutshell, as this is quite a complex set of rules, a mining company applying for new mining rights is now required to have a minimum of 30% black person shareholding. When it comes to preferential procurement, the aim is to have mining companies purchasing at least 70% of their goods and 80% of their services from black-owned companies at the end of a 5-year transition period. There are many other elements included in the charter, and the compliance level of each mining firm is tracked in an individual scorecard. Non-compliance with the mining charter can result in the suspension or the cancellation of a company's mining rights or mining permits. As one would understand, this is quite a complex issue, and there has been ongoing discussions between all involved stakeholders. Right, now the second part of this presentation will focus on the mining sector in Namibia. To start with, the size of the Namibian mining sector is much smaller compared to the South African one. However, Namibia is often described as an attractive mining jurisdiction, enjoying stable regulation and peaceful labor relations. The country has consistently been ranked in the top 4 African countries by the Fraser Institute. In terms of sales value, the main mining commodities extracted include diamonds, gold, zinc, copper, and uranium, of which Namibia is the world's 4th largest producer. In 2019, the Namibian mining industry directly contributed to 9% of GDP. It employed more than 16,000 people directly and contributed to create more than 100,000 jobs. It exported more than $2 billion, which is more than half of Namibia's total exports. Finally, the mining industry paid close to $230 million in taxes and royalties. This chart shows the mining share of Namibia's exports over the last few years. The orange part represents the share of mineral exports, and as we can see, mining has always accounted for more than half of Namibia's total exports. Now this illustration shows the contribution to GDP of each mineral subsector. Diamonds are the dominant mineral commodity in Namibia, and most of it are marine diamonds. In other words, they are being extracted from the Atlantic seabeds with special boats. Over the years, there was also an increased output of gold, and this is shown in the metal ore's orange bars. The increase is mainly due to a Canadian firm called B2Gold, as they launched the production of their Otjikoto mine in 2015. Interestingly, the company recently announced the extension of the mine's life, as it will soon develop an underground operation which will be highly mechanized. Finally, Namibia has also large uranium reserves, all located in the western part of the country near the city of Swakopmund. The production amounted to more than 5,000 tons in 2019, the 4th largest in the world after Kazakhstan, Canada, and Australia. Now this slide shows the evolution of exploration expenditure in Namibia, and as we can see, the country attracted a lot of interest, especially between 2009 and 2014. A recent study indicated that Namibia is ranked at the 8th position in Africa, behind DRC, Burkina Faso, Ghana, South Africa, Mali, Côte d'Ivoire, and Tanzania. In this part, we will briefly speak about opportunities for Canadian suppliers, and we will draw a few conclusions on the South African and Namibian mining sectors. Opportunities exist especially for Canadian high-tech and clean-tech innovations that could help transforming current mining methods in order to deliver improved economic, safety, and environmental outcomes. In other words, key opportunities lie in sectors like mechanization, modernization, and digitalization of mining operations. Of course, this includes smart and digital mining, the development of the mine of the future, clean technologies, and all of this is supported by artificial intelligence. Now that we are reaching the end of this presentation, it's time for a few conclusions. As we have seen it, South Africa is still a world leader in mining, and Namibia also offers potential as they are both hosting almost 1 billion in Canadian mining assets each. Also, recent changes in South Africa have been welcomed by the mining industry in general. Better regulations and a stabilized investment climate could offer new perspectives in order to increase its attractiveness. But the fundamental part of the equation, both for Namibia and for South Africa, is to make sure that exploration is taking place. Without it, mineral resources are at risk of being unutilized as older mines become unviable. I thank you for your attention, and please do feel free to reach out to discuss opportunities in those markets more in detail.